All right, yeah, we're live. Yeah, I'm literally saying impromptu lesson with Chris right now. So I just messaged the Discord. What's up, everybody? Um, Original sound for musicians on. Yeah, this last month has been really good in growth. Like, I've tried a bunch of different things, and the only thing that really matters is just streaming more, which is awesome because that's the only thing I want to do anyways. That's like actually practicing the guitar, not like video editing or reacting to videos or something. It's like just practice more. Um, yeah, yeah, and the growth curve is just like looking really great, like 10% growth this last
How's
month.
Carcassi fever going?
Carcassi Fever is good. The bassoonist has recorded the bassoon arrangement. I should send that to you. And then Leo, who has been learning it and sharing some videos, he just uploaded his like day 40 learning Carcassi 7. And I think it's pretty solid.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. There's like a couple points where the internet is helping him out with it. And then, yeah, I did that masterclass with him that I mentioned, I think, last week. Like, we streamed a lesson on that piece. And, yeah, Carcassi Fever's going well on my end as well.
That's awesome.
So, I wanted to get your thoughts on, I guess, this as, like, a structure for me as a student, like, learning the guitar. But then also, like, would this be interesting to you as like a potential target audience? Like, I want my channel to be like legit musicians interested in this. Like, I want David Russell in the chat. That's ambitious, but
Invite
shoot for
him.
the stars, right? Yeah, actually, that's not a bad idea.
To be honest with you, you'd have I always believe you will have more success with things like that by actually just sending an email and inviting them.
Why not? Yeah, good point.
Because the chances of of coming across these things, just
right.
on our own, right?
Right.
Two, having the time, right? Like
like David Russell's not watching YouTube, or
actually,
if he is,
I wouldn't. He probably is.
I mean, yeah, but he's not watching like a random like 1,000 sub. I don't know. Maybe
If it came across his feed, he might. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what it is, I can tell you from my perspective, is the feeling of a level of involvement.
Yeah.
In it versus watching it after the fact.
Yeah, it's completely different. Yeah.
And so actually just sending an invitation, say, hey, we'd love for you to stop by someday.
Yeah.
I think you'd be very surprised.
Yeah.
And there are many, I think there are a lot of artists that, I would say very many artists who actually, if invited, might pop in. There
it is. Yeah.
You did it.
It happens.
You called it. It's like, hey, everybody.
No, that's a great point. And to that point, we have a monthly open mic. I need to do a better job of promoting it, but like I might just send an email to you and like some of the other people I know here, because like you're not gonna know about it unless I like actually promote it. And it's the next one's gonna be on Monday. It's always the first Monday of every month.
Okay.
But like as a structure for me learning.
So like literally like day after tomorrow.
Yeah, at 8 p.m. 8 p.m.
Okay.
And the last few have been really gaining in momentum, like some really awesome new people. And there's a weekly one as well on Sundays that's at 1 p.m. And that's like
that's hard.
Yeah, that's a hard time. It's a challenge about live streaming. Like there's just time blocks that just physically do not work, for people. Like the 1 p.m. has a different audience because they're all like several people are in Europe, and then like 8 p.m. for them, our time is like whatever 4 a.m. or something. But they're interested in maybe starting to stream it once a month also. If that happens and it goes well, like I feel this deserves its own separate channel that's like fortnightly open mic. Because I think a lot of people don't know that fortnight means every 2 weeks, right? So it's going to be the fortnight open mic or something.
I think it's cool.
Yeah, that's the thing. But as a structure, for me, focusing on music, we've talked about the structure of a concert every month that I'm doing, and I have a paid one coming up with a volunteer or like
Right.
with a
That's
group but that's in 2 months.
okay.
I don't have any concerts planned in June, and so my thought right now for June for my concert on YouTube, I want to just focus on RCM 5 material. So like do
Is
like a
that
pretend fake exam, like
okay?
just play. Um, so reading them out, it's not the entire Logy suite, but it's
Right.
the Capricho and the Gavotte, and
Okay.
it's at a reasonable tempo, not like blazing fast. For the Capricho, especially. Capricho and Gavotte is list A. List B is a new piece that we haven't worked on. Minueto in Do by
Hmm.
Barrios.
Okay.
I tried La Chasse. I didn't love it, to be honest.
It's fine. What
And
the
yeah,
Napoleon Coast?
yeah, the coast.
It's fine.
It's nice, but like I like that with another
You,
Barrios, then I have like a little Barrios
yeah,
set
you have
that's
options.
building.
Now let me
Yeah,
ask you
and
this: the concert in July.
uh-huh.
How much of the rep of what you're talking about with June is in July?
I
Are they
think all
totally
of it.
different? All of it?
All of
Great.
it. Yeah, so just
Because as long as what you're doing,
uh-huh.
if
Uh-huh.
this is the direction you're going, like I've got a concert in July, and I
Yeah.
want to make sure the majority of whatever I'm doing in June, I mean, maybe a piece,
Uh-huh. Hmm.
takes me off of that track.
Yeah.
But one of the difficulties as guitarists
Hmm.
we run into is that instead of playing one concert program 40 times a year
Yeah.
or 20 or however many, we're playing like 20 or 40 different programs once a year.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And you never ever get to see
Right.
programs grow.
Yeah.
We get to see
Hmm.
part of programs grow.
Yeah.
Now that is part of the gig economy and the gig mentality. We're
Mm.
acting a little bit more like orchestral musicians,
Okay.
right? Where
Uh-huh.
it's just like, oh, well, this month's concert has Dvorak and
Yeah.
Mozart, but next month's concert has Stravinsky and Takamitsu. It's like
Yeah.
these bang, and even within a microcosmic uh, perspective of that, we're maybe doing two concerts of the Dvorak and Mozart, right?
Okay.
We're doing like Saturday, Sunday. That's it. Done. Move on.
Uh-huh.
And that's
Yeah.
very much part of their existence.
Yeah. Yeah.
As large ensembles, man, it makes perfect sense.
As a
As soloists and
soloist?
chamber
Yeah.
musicians, it makes less sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what it does is it further perpetuates this institutionalized approach. And I don't
Uh-huh.
mean like institutionalized, I
Yeah.
mean like school.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like the idea that you do a senior recital,
Yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
a senior recital, one.
Yeah, I was gonna criticize, yeah, the
And
structure that's
that's the
like you
way
do one. It's like
that
why not every month?
well,
Why
see,
not
here's the
every month
thing.
like I do? Like, yeah.
When we look at, like
Hmm.
a program, you have
Yeah.
a senior recital. Okay.
Right.
There are some programs in the country still that only have a required senior recital.
Uh
But a
huh.
required, it doesn't say anything about how many times you play that recital before you do it at school.
Yeah. Right. There's one that counts to a
Right.
higher degree. It's like your final exam or
Right.
something, but
But
nobody
here's the
says that you
dilemma
shouldn't perform
is that
before that.
we
Yeah.
always like, for instance, we try to get the students to play their recitals as many times as possible before they do it at school. So go
Yeah.
to, the go to Doncaster, doing a lot of it. We have 8 evening with guitars, so
Yeah.
potentially they could be running the whole program in bits throughout the
Yeah.
year. But then we say, well, let's have a junior recital, and now you have a year to learn a whole new program for your senior recital. That's not how the professional world works, man. It's not like I swap out new
Yeah.
program every year. The
Right.
majority
Right.
of it
Hmm.
may be the same,
Yeah.
or the
Hmm.
majority may be different, but there's always holdovers from the last program.
Yeah.
Because every time you play in a new city or a new town or new country, it's a new program. You've never
Yeah.
played it there. So you could play the same program for 20 years as long as you never play it in the same city twice,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Right.
Which is where you find the lack of realism. So we've even
Yeah.
taken that a step further to do now a sophomore half recital,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
which is half of your junior recital.
Uh
So
huh.
you have a year to learn half,
Uh
then you
huh.
have a year to learn a whole thing so that you understand the process of doing it.
Uh-huh.
But then to continue that in reality,
Uh-huh.
where we're constantly swapping out programs every year, it's pretty impractical
Okay,
to be
yeah,
actually
yeah.
doing it. But the point is that you have the skill to do it should you choose to.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
where I think that the ability to learn that kind
Mm-hmm.
of stuff every year, when you're looking at it from the standpoint of I have a concert in July,
Mm-hmm.
what am
Mm-hmm.
I going to do in June? Every single decision that I make
Mm-hmm.
should be in alignment with that.
Yeah, with
So
that
here's my
target
program. So
goal.
whatever I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing now, I don't want to stray too far,
Yeah.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
if I'm doing maybe two or three pieces for something else, okay, cool. That's like a
Yeah.
little move over here. But if I'm like playing in a
Yeah.
musical or something, bang, it's like wow, I'm going in a very different direction than that
Mm-hmm.
concert in July, and that's when we start to see the overall quality of what we do in July start
Yeah.
to suffer.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, the concert in July, I don't think is going to be very different from the last one
Cool,
that I did.
that's good.
The only change, I guess there's two changes. My program keeps gravitating towards romantic music because
That's
I
cool.
think I like romantic music. Barrios Minueto and Do,
Hmm.
which would be part of the RCM 5 simulated exam.
Yeah.
And then somebody requested it. Somebody tipped me recently $5 in a stream to to play Recuerdos again,
Okay.
and it feels so much better now. Like I have been doing
Good.
Take on Me and Carcassi 7 a lot to bring tremolo back into my practice,
Good.
especially since this is a paid concert coming up. I think I feel maybe ready to spend a month working on it again, and it's not
Good.
going to be professional level at all, but I think it's good enough for this purpose, for this kind of avenue. Otherwise it's like all the same material as last time, just better, like a little bit better. um,
The
so
the professional level thing, okay,
mm-hmm,
that is a goal
mm-hmm,
that we have. It's a lifetime goal
yeah,
that
mm-hmm,
we're in pursuit of, is to present pieces in a professional manner.
mm-hmm,
That doesn't mean it doesn't have mistakes. That doesn't mean that
right,
it doesn't have oopses.
yeah,
Okay.
mm-hmm,
That
mm-hmm,
doesn't mean, yes, we want to, in our playing, if we think of those two scales that we've always thought of, those two measuring scales, here's
yeah,
how well I play the piece, here's how
yeah,
well I perform the piece.
uh-huh, uh-huh,
Those are
yeah,
two,
yeah, yeah,
those are two very different metrics and two very different approaches, because I
right,
can't you just like anyone who's watching this, anybody, oh man, you should have heard me an hour ago, I sounded great and now I don't sound so hot, because I'm in a whole new arena, and we have to function knowing that
yeah,
however well I play that piece,
uh-huh,
when I go to perform it, it could be 10 to 20% less.
yeah, right,
And that's where we learn to perform the piece.
yeah,
And that's where your
absolutely,
studio classes come in. That's where your evening with guitar and harps come in. That's where
yeah,
all of those things happen. Where, yeah, man, someone's like, well, is it okay if I play the same piece 2 months in a row? Please play the same piece 2 months in a row,
completely, yeah,
so that you can actually measure how well you're performing the piece now
yeah,
compared to last month.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And it really is those two different metrics,
yeah, which
because
is,
it's two different arenas, dude.
yeah, it's a big part of my channel and the like monthly recital,
Hmm.
and it's usually the same, like 80% the same pieces as
And
last
that
time,
way
but
now we can
hopefully a little
determine.
bit better, yeah,
Yeah. That
mm-hmm,
way you can determine, okay, so this is compared to last month. Does it
yeah,
sound, and I try to keep my measurements simple, does it sound a month better?
yeah, right, right,
It sounds like a
exactly,
week better. Okay, then there's something I'm not developing in my performing.
yeah, mm-hmm,
So I have to look at the playing. But every once in a while we do that, and it's like, yeah, man, it sounds as close to a month as we can guesstimate.
yeah,
It's just like, yeah. So the way I try to think about it
mm-hmm,
is,
mm-hmm,
does it sound significantly better?
yeah,
Or,
measurably,
and I'm going to use the
noticeably,
word,
mm-hmm,
but when I use this word with myself, I don't take it personally. Does it sound significantly better or insignificantly better?
right,
Meaning
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's about the same,
yeah,
and yeah, it's a little bit better.
Right.
And so when I use
Right.
that term insignificant, for me, it's simply in opposition to significant, not
Yeah.
as an insult or a self-deprecating thing,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
But there is a thing where like you can be getting like slow diminishing returns. Like you're
Right.
still improving, but it would
Exactly.
be smart to put away the
And
chaconne and
and
work on
and
something
that
else or
you got it,
whatever.
man. And
Yeah.
that's where either that or I just have to address what is it that I'm not
Yeah.
hearing or not seeing or not aware of.
Right. Right.
And that's where usually the intellectual curiosity comes in. So now I'm going to go listen to someone else play it. I'm going to watch someone else. I'm going to go to a concert and see them play that piece. And that's one
Yeah.
of the reasons why I really like it when people advertise the concert programs.
Oh, okay. In advance, just
Oh
say like
yeah.
this is what I'm going to play.
Oh
That's
yeah, because
smart.
it could be
Yeah.
like, I love that piece. I want to go see that. Or
Yeah.
or I'm working on that piece currently. I want to see what that player's doing with it.
Yeah. A couple people have like mentioned that I could start like a newsletter or like a Substack or just email list of some kind, and like a mentor, like a software mentor person I met recently was like, yeah, you're gonna have to email me a week ahead, otherwise I'm just
Yeah,
not gonna
dude.
show. Like I'm not gonna know that it's happening. Like so emailing, and that could give me a thing to email, like here's exactly what I'm going to play next week,
Yeah.
for those who know, like for my musician friends who know what pieces those are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that gives me something to say other than I'm performing in a week and here's the YouTube link. It's like
Yeah.
here's specifically. I like that idea. So
It,
as a structure, like I want to work through the RCM levels, work
mhm.
up in technique, starting from zero. And last time that we met,
We worked on one last time,
I
right?
think we did zero.
Was
Yeah,
it zero?
I call it zero, and maybe that's like rude, but it's prep,
Well,
right? Like the prep
it's
level.
before one. You got to call it
Yeah, yeah,
something.
yeah. They call them prep level and ARCT, like the artist diploma level. I just call
Okay.
them 0 and 11. Like there's 12 levels from 0 to 11. So I'd like to check in on that one again. Last time we had two big takeaways. One was what a viewer in chat also called micro shifting, like shifting the weight of the left hand, like as the during the scale, right? Like don't like stay in one position and stretch. Like that is building this wrist tension.
Right.
Whereas if I like kind of let go of the prior frets and shift the weight of the hand as I'm doing the scales, that's like reducing left hand tension. We also talked about like rotating the wrist a little bit just to give more tilt to the hand.
Right.
I've reshaped my nails and tried to build that in, bake that into
Good.
my practice a little more. So could we try 0 again? And
Yeah.
I
Let me
want
see
to.
if I have it with me.
I want it to be like at your level of,
Okay. Good.
you know, like
That's what you should be aiming for.
right, yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know,
Um,
that to me is like I want to, it's
Yeah.
like, look, I was like, I want to be able to kick my teacher's ass. You know.
Yeah, right? I mean, but then like as a teacher, as a new teacher myself, I'm like, should I recommend that to students who are going through this process of, and they want to learn Adelita and it's level 6. Should I like how long do I keep somebody getting their scales at level 0, let's say, to like a really high quality level before moving them on? Like I'm coming to the theory that there's different like quality levels that one shoots for in something like this, like hobbyist for myself, hobbyist for friends and family, you know, maybe there's things in between, but then there's like professional level at some point. And I'm now trying to shoot for the highest quality level possible.
You're not gonna like the answer.
But you would keep somebody like
No, is
okay.
that it's
Mm-hmm.
case by case basis, and that's why I don't like the answer myself.
Uh-huh.
Is knowing when
Yeah. Yeah.
you or a student. Now it's a lot harder for you to do this for you.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Which is why you need a teacher to, yeah.
Or
Right.
or a soundboard to bounce
Yeah.
things off of, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, we can only exist in a vacuum for so long, but
Mm-hmm.
many of us today, like if I look back, you know, when I'm down here in Virginia, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
my old bedroom anyway, is right over there, and I can't tell you how many times I just would for 6 hours just
Uh-huh.
keep hammering the same thing over and over again. So I was building consistency, but I was also building it was a perfect example of practice makes permanent, not perfect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if
Mm-hmm.
I had, you know, if I was playing with my shoulder up at 13 doing this, teaching myself how to do it, that I got really good at doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Right. Right.
So I like to think about it as a series of plateaus,
Yeah.
ideally.
Uh-huh.
What are we looking for? What are the goals of the student? And that's why it's a case by case basis.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Okay. Then we, as the teacher, have to try to
Mm-hmm.
say, all right, here are the goals of the student. They want to do this,
Yeah.
right? So you talked about scales. So let's take it with scales. How consistently do you want to be able to do them?
Yeah. Right.
And how consistently do I want the student to be able to do them? So can they do it 3 out of 3 times in a row
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
with little to no mistakes? And I always have to build in that buffer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No mistakes or little mistakes.
Right. But then,
Right.
like, what is defined as a mistake at some
Well,
point?
you know,
You
like
know?
a
I mean, there's
squeak,
obvious
a buzz,
mistakes.
you know,
Like
things
a
like that.
sound is incorrect,
Right.
like a buzz or a missed note. That's like one level of mistakes, but then mistakes being like building tension.
Oh,
Like
see, now that
that's a
to me is
mistake
not a
too.
mistake, right?
Okay.
So I mean a
Mm-hmm.
mistake like oops,
Sure. Okay.
right? Like I bumped a string, and then
Sure.
you can play it 10 times and not bump one. Those to me are mistakes.
Okay.
Issues are different,
Okay.
right? If we've
Okay.
got issues that we're dealing with, those are longer term things, and we like
Yeah.
whether it's, you know,
Okay.
you know, that's not a mistake. That's just something that we're dealing with. That's
Right.
rehabilitation in a way.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
You know, if it's a student who's in those fundamental stages,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not gonna hold them there until something like that is gone. Like
yeah,
you're
that's a
gonna
little
work with
different.
those issues over time.
It gets to a point where you've been able to minimize the effect of something,
Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
moving on doesn't have to, it can, that's where reinforcement comes in,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
right? So we're trying to achieve consistency on something, and this is why studies are so critical.
Yeah.
Having a lot of scale studies. Why? Because it's constantly reinforcing. It's not necessarily moving forward.
Yeah.
Like, oh, now I'm going to do 3 octave instead of 2, or now I'm going to do them at 120 instead of 90.
Uh-huh.
That will be moving forward, but can I get really good at what I'm doing right now?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's why having a lot of reinforcing material in addition to a method book
Yeah.
becomes very critical.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say it's Brouwer 1. Okay,
Yeah.
well, Brouwer 4 has the same right hand technique. Then we look to the Nuevos Estudios, and I can't remember the number, if it's 5 or 3 or 2. It's in the
Mm-hmm.
first few.
Mm-hmm.
Has the same technique. Great. How about Caruli's
Right.
Country Dance? That has some of the same technique. Okay, how
Right.
about the Gerald Garcia Etude Keys number 1? That has some of the same technique.
Cool.
So we're looking, I think it's 1. So we're looking at all of these tunes that we're learning. So in a
Yeah.
way, we're
Yeah.
moving forward because we're learning more tunes, but it's
Mm-hmm.
all constantly reinforcing the thing that we're trying to get good at,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Cool.
And
I
so,
can't. Yeah, I want to like map these all out and like write down like for this technique. Like here's a list of
oh, dude, just
pieces.
like,
Like
I'll tell you the
and
best thing in the
levels.
world, man.
Yeah.
Pop the you can't sleep, pop on an old Star Trek episode and
Yeah.
just start going through like Opus
Yeah. Just
100 of
practicing.
Giuliani. And
Mm-hmm.
then just writing little notes. Okay, this is a
Yeah.
scale study. This is an arpeggio study. This is a mixture. This is a chord study.
Yeah.
That way you just kind of have it like all there. And I mean, having played all of those,
Mm-hmm.
I have the general recollection of what's in there. And like, oh yeah, this is a great PIM study. Let's go back to this. And that comes from
Right.
just knowing the catalog, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And if you're in a situation where you don't know those things yet, cool, get to know them. And that's
Yeah.
what you're doing. It's just like, here, let me go through all of Opus 48. Let me go through all of the Carcassi studies. You know?
Yeah, and starting to teach is great for that because now I'm like,
Oh yeah,
I'm
now you
actually,
have to apply that.
yeah, I'm starting to read through and getting, like the prep book and being like, oh, I recommend this piece. Like, I've built like a YouTube playlist of a bunch of recordings of these, and I'm like listening to these, and I should be using it as like sight reading material, sight reading practice, and yeah. Okay, so I'd love to maybe just look at those scales if
Yes,
you have
please.
that book up, maybe.
Don't know if I have I have the syllabus.
Okay,
with me.
I can link you.
That'd be awesome.
Really quick.
I'm searching for it.
I have a link for this.
I have all of my
I
hard
should have a
drives.
short link, but let's see. Yeah, this is one of those common ones that I'm sharing with folks, and insisting that they should get their own copy when they can.
Yeah, they're on my shelf at home.
Yeah. But it's it's super convenient to have the PDF as well. I messaged you a Google Drive link. I think that it should be public, but if not, let me know.
That's all good. Let's find out.
Maybe it doesn't need access. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, the access is wrong. Yeah, I remember why I chose that, but we'll just change it. Okay, try again, and you should be able to download it this time.
Bang. Got it.
Got it. Cool.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, let's rock and roll.
All right, just letting people know, putting away chat now. Yeah, thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. I'm going to zone in and focus on this lesson now. Chat amongst yourselves. Good to see you all. Good to see you, Backpack. Backpack is a new regular.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. All right, so RCM 0. So these are all one octave first position scales. Do I say open string scales, first position scales? Doesn't matter, same thing.
First position would imply that your first finger is at or around the first fret.
Yeah, and that's not quite true, right? Because, I guess it is. Never mind.
Open and first position are essentially the same thing. One could split hairs.
Okay.
If you wanted to.
But all right, I'm just gonna call them first.
Because your first finger is going to be on the first fret in open position. So.
Yeah.
To me, they've always been two different ways of saying roughly the same thing.
Okay. I'll use that then. Cool. So, pop the metronome on.
Yep.
Does that work? Okay. So these are 80, and I'll go through all the finger combinations, I guess, and let me know when I should pause. And I'm happy to rotate, move around, whatever. Do you want me to repeat the same finger combination? I'm thinking one finger combination per scale.
Yeah.
I could repeat it. Maybe
let's stay with C major. Tell you what, let's stay with C major, but go through IM, MI, MA, and AM.
Sounds good. Yeah, sounds good. All right, so that was MI. Do you want me to do MI and IM? Or, yeah, so we'll do all of them. Then free stroke and then rest stroke. Yeah. Okay, now AM, free stroke. Oh wait, why am I? Yeah, I switched to A major. Okay, whoops.
Yeah, just stay with C major. You good?
Yeah, that's what. now we're going to rest stroke MI first. I don't know, like this ring over, I have a question about later.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. Yeah, good. I think that's all of them because we don't do IA at this level.
Good. There's some really good stuff, especially with your IMMI. Mm-hmm. I like what I'm seeing. The free strokes especially, I'm seeing a lot less curvature of M throughout the whole thing, which is good. So let me deal with just a couple of right hand things, mostly with A and M.
Okay, yeah.
And then we'll deal with the left hand. So when you're dealing with AM scales, one of the things that you're going to notice is how much or little separation of M and A we actually have.
Okay.
Right? Because of the tethering in the hand of these tendons. Yeah. Sometimes that tethering is a little higher up on some people, a little lower down on some people.
Okay.
And where those things are tethered in the hand starts to dictate how much independence we have.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, no, this is my dad's cat. So, as we're doing M and A, just like with the hand alone like this, we start seeing how much sympathy. Now I've got it's like our cat.
It's a cat, yeah.
How much separation and independence we have with these fingers, right? So if you watch, you can see how when you do A, you notice that there's less dependency. M moves, but it's not like moving.
Yeah.
At the same parallel.
When you move M much more.
This is where you may notice a lot more dependence of the A finger on M.
Yeah.
Right? So,
or vice versa. Like I would think of it as A depending on M because.
Well, it's which finger is going. Like for instance, when I'm moving M.
Yeah.
There's just a little bit of sympathetic motion, which is totally cool. When we read the phrase, the finger should move with M or the finger should move with I, to me, that's what that is talking about. It doesn't mean that they're moving parallel to each other. It means that there's some sympathetic motion.
Yeah.
Right? Because if the finger's in motion, it can't be tight up like that. It's a lot harder for it to be tight, like if I was doing this, right? Sticking the pinky out or something.
Yeah.
So what we're going to notice is as we're doing this, we're going to see some dependency from one finger to another. We're going to try our best to control how like little dependency we want to have. We want to have more independence of the fingers. So when we're doing this here, the question becomes, is A always coming in parallel with M or not? And I apologize for any sound issues we may have over here.
Parallel.
But so if I'm got to move the guitar up here. So if I'm alternating M and A on a string, you can see how little motion there was with A.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah, there's a little bit.
Right. And I'm going to use it because like if A is the next finger, then that's what's going to help bring it down to the string.
Right.
But so when we're alternating M and A, it doesn't look like this.
Yeah, we don't want...
Where it's almost like they're parallel to each other. So just on the first string, just do an M finger. Good, now.
Yeah, A definitely moved more than I expected there. Do you want me to like allow A to prepare as part of that motion?
It can, but sometimes if it's too...
Yeah, we don't want that.
Right,
yeah.
It terminates the note too quickly. Right. So this ability to alternate M and A while keeping the outer fingers relatively relaxed. This is one of the hardest coordination things you'll do on the right hand.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially the pinky is kind of coming out, the counteraction.
Yeah.
Counter motion. And we want to avoid that.
So the first step, and this is why this basic finger exercise number 1 is so vital to me first thing in the morning. Line up I, M, and A on those top 3 strings and just do a free stroke with them while leaving the others down. And feel where does that pull of the A finger really start. And I'm going to, at this point, push my M finger far further than it needs to go.
Okay. Yeah, I do see that A is moving. Like, I have a hard time, partly for the audience here, I have a hard time feeling it in the finger itself, because I have developed this to a certain degree, but I can really see that it's still happening by watching the string.
Yes.
And like kind of like the light reflecting
see
from
that
the frets.
A finger kind of depressing that E string, right?
Yeah, so it is happening, even though like I don't feel it. I can see, yes, it is indeed happening.
So this is one of those things where I'm going to pluck very lightly. But try to push that M finger a little further back.
Okay, yeah.
Just so I can feel it's like a nice gentle stretch. There's nothing uncomfortable in this motion. But I'm keeping the dynamic relatively low. Okay,
yeah.
And the reason for that is I'm not going to have a bunch of dysfunctional tension going in other places because I'm not overworking.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty soft, a good mezzo piano, if I had to think about it. It's not the softest thing I've ever done, hey kitty cat. Right?
Yeah.
Now the same thing with A.
Yeah.
Nice and soft, and being able to feel that finger utilize that swing space.
Yeah.
Right? This is, a great just right hand first thing in the morning warm up.
Yeah.
I also use it to check my nail shape.
Okay, yeah.
Make sure that it's like this is the nail shape I'm going to use.
I've been using the scales for that, but I can feel that this would be even sooner, like the first thing.
Yeah, because you'll know, man, if my nail shape isn't right, this free stroke right here is going to feel real funky, because there's no way that my hand can compensate for a bad nail shape.
Yeah, right? You have to.
Right.
Yeah.
And so whenever I'm filing my nails on the strings, I'll try to plant I and A to help reinforce that. So just by doing this now, let's go back to M and A.
Okay.
Alternating on that first string, nice and soft. Already that looks better. Yes. Do you see how there's a different sensation with the alternation when the fingers aren't moving parallel to each other?
I think so.
Yeah, that's it.
I definitely have more.
Man, that looks good.
Yeah, but I am still getting, like, especially in this motion, I'm still getting like the finger twitching kind of thing.
That's
like,
because you're actually just sensing that it's isometric. You're holding it back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you were doing it like where we were releasing tension immediately, you won't see it.
Right.
Which
I've been practicing scales.
Yeah.
Releasing tension immediately a lot. But...
So what we're doing right now is just really trying to get that exchange between M and A more independent, and you're doing great. But yeah, if I hold M back like this is an isometric flex. It's like, how long can you flex that bicep before your arm starts shaking?
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Right,
yeah.
And so that's what you're noticing here with that shake.
Okay.
Cool. Now, taking that into application, and normally I don't hold the guitar this way, but this camera here I can't move it. So as we now start approaching here, can we now apply that to it?
Yeah. Kind of practice. Yeah. Okay.
So give it a shot. Don't worry about the speed right now.
Okay.
That's much better. That is a much cleaner exchange between your fingers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel it too. Yeah.
That's really the only thing that you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. So, just to clarify, some of it was important that we did the shadow boxing.
Yeah.
Right? Is that we can really start to work on coordination with no pressure. Right? And I really mean it's like shadow boxing, right? We're going through our moves, we're not hitting the bag yet. We're no impact. Right? Mm-hmm. Same thing here is that I want to make sure that the fingers are doing what I want them to do. With no application of downward pressure on a string. Right? Because that way you can start to see, do you start doing something like this and the pinky's coming up. If you're doing it here, then when you apply pressure, you can be sure that you're going to be doing it. So a lot of times what I'll do, this is at red lights on my way to school, this is how I'm getting my right hand warmed up. So that when I walk into my office and like right at 9 o'clock and I got to teach, it's like, hey, okay, the machine's been oiled. You know, even if I haven't been applying pressure. It can also be really good if you're doing arpeggio sequencing. To just do it this way so that you can feel where all the motions are coming from. And we're not distracted by anything. Now, to clarify for you, but also more so for your viewers, when you see my pinky not move when I'm doing these things, that is, the pinky can move with the A finger. I do not. And it is not tense. It's just there hanging out.
Right. I've gone back and forth on trying it that way, but I've landed on letting the pinky move with the ring finger.
If it's moving sympathetically like this, totally cool. Even if it's moving parallel to the A finger. For me to do that requires compression. So because of my hand and there's a great deal of independence between these fingers, I just let it hang there. So it's not sticking straight out. I'm not doing anything to keep it here. It's just not, it's moving very little, if at all. But I didn't want anybody to see it and go like, oh, so I got to keep it still. No, you don't have to keep it still. It's just hanging out. Some people, it'll do this. Some people, it'll just hang. And that's where our own individual anatomy has a bearing on what we're doing, right? So that was good. Now you do that again with the metronome on and you're good to go, okay? I'm going to point out that you're doubling the value of your last half note.
Oh, am I? I'm doing like a whole note instead of... Oh, I thought I was doing the half note and then the 2-note rest.
It sounded like you were doing four clicks instead of 2.
My bad. Okay,
But now maybe I just...
2, 3, 4.
So you have 1, 2, chord, 2, done.
Oh, no. There's a half note in the score. That's the difference. Or like there's a half note and then a half note rest.
Oh, not in what I'm looking at.
What? Are you on printed page 6?
Yeah. I think.
Maybe the PDF is a different edition than mine.
Could be.
That
I just see.
I'll just so like mine has a rest
mine doesn't do that.
Got it. Okay.
There you go.
Like,
okay, you're good.
Chris is gaslighting me right now. Okay.
By mine, it's just the C half note and then the C chord.
Got it. Interesting. Yeah. So okay.
No big deal. You keep doing it your way now that I know that you're good.
Yeah. So I was going to ask about the damping or ring over.
Yeah. So the left hand.
Yeah.
This is where, when we're doing things of this nature, the simplest thing would be just to put a finger down.
Yeah.
Like a right hand finger. So if I'm coming down, just let M touch it.
M. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if it were music, I would be looking for damping and avoiding ring over, but then in a scale exercise, I feel like it's counterproductive, but I know that I should be playing them both the same way. Should I be teaching and encouraging and practicing all these scales? At a fast speed, you wouldn't do it, right? Or... Or
Depends what it is
depends.
that we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
First off, with a student, don't worry about damping if they can't even do the thing. Damping is another responsibility. So it's like you got to be able to do it and do it well. Then you can start dealing with the cleanup and the dampening of ringing notes.
Right.
So if you were to damp it with your right hand, the only one I'm dampening is the one I just played. I'll just put M down. Right.
Okay. In the right hand, especially that D, the ringing D.
Yeah, that's the one.
I feel that's the one that's like the only real problem.
So there, I just did C with I, so my M finger can come down and touch the D string.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now that's if we wanted to, or you could put all your fingers down.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If as you're coming down. Those G's. And then just put all your fingers down to dampen. But in this case, it's just the D string that's bugging me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just do that. Now, that's with the right hand. With the left hand.
Yeah. You could use the finger and come back, but I'm trying to like discourage
I'm going to show you what I do.
Okay.
And this is where things get a little into the gray area. Okay. I'm holding the guitar all funky just because of trying to get it so everybody can see. I'm making a bunch of stupid mistakes. I don't feel stupid. Let me see if I can raise my footstool a lot. So when I'm doing this scale, do you hear how there's nothing ringing over?
Yeah.
Right. So coming up, we can use the thumb. Right.
Right.
Okay, now coming down. I'm using my first finger landing. So
the first finger. Okay. I see.
Now, that's kind of like a dampening pedal on a piano.
Yeah. Always the first finger? So
if I'm gonna do it, it's with the first finger. Because even if I was playing a first finger note,
okay,
I'm using like the flesh of my first finger. Now, I will tell you that is not necessarily a classical guitar technique.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that is something I got from electric guitar very many years ago from playing with lots of saturation and distortion. High gain tones and all of the. If you think this is annoying, dude, that those notes have the same volume on the electric guitar.
Yeah, it's way worse on electric. I see. Yeah.
So when you're doing left hand dampening with the first finger, right? What I'm doing is allowing the flesh of the first finger to touch any of the notes that are ringing above it. This is not something you teach someone in the fundamental stage.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Some people, if they've played electric guitar, will naturally do it. I found that was one thing that even though I never saw it printed in a classic guitar text, ever, I felt for me personally, that was something I'm going to bring to this instrument a long time ago. Because it's not promoting necessarily a bad technique, it's promoting an extended technique. So this way, if I want to have those notes ring, I'm on my tip. And if I don't want them to ring, I'm just letting the flesh of that touch it. So even though I'm not using it, it's just sitting there like a dampening pedal. If I was using it, let's say here, still fine. So now what I get is a much cleaner approach to it with a very minor adjustment to my first finger. So coming down, that's all left first finger. All that dampening was just that.
Cool. So if it's you and you had a slow scale like this in a piece, would you prefer the first finger over the right hand damping for this one?
Let me do a fast one. I'm still doing it there too.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be slow. Right there.
Okay, yeah, you're doing it left hand, first finger, always. Okay, cool. Yeah. For a long time, I think I practiced with left hand damping, but I did this, like, I would change the finger there to, like, have a different angle, but that doesn't feel like the right thing to promote. And it's inconsistent too. Sometimes it buzzes. You don't do it completely, and then it's worse.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah.
The danger with that is the idea that we damp a lot with the left hand. We really don't. If I had to think about dampening in an arpeggio or a chordal texture in a piece of music, there are very few times I'm dampening with my left hand.
Yeah.
Most dampening is with my right.
Yeah.
It's clearer, it's crisper, and I have more control. But when I'm dealing with scales solely, that's where I'm allowing the flesh of this finger to help with that.
Okay.
That is not necessarily a criteria for these, but I showed you a way to do it with your right hand, where you're coming down. There's my M finger stop.
Yeah. Right.
It's only descending really the problem, because going up, the thumb is your best bet.
Yeah.
Right? Now, rest stroke, still you can damp the previous string.
Yeah.
But that first finger coming down really does a lot.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because in rest stroke it would be pretty hard to damp. It's harder, I think, to damp with the right hand, because then your finger has to stretch more.
It can. It depends on what you're trying to damp.
Whereas, it's like more consistent. It's still the exact same motion with the left hand first finger. Right?
The reason why and only with scales or melody playing that I'm using that first finger is we found a solution in the electric guitar to a problem that we have, a minor problem on the classical guitar. Yeah. They found theirs out of necessity.
Yeah, it's like a major problem.
Right, because, with the pickups going, dude, the sympathetic ringing is just as loud as the note you've plucked.
Yeah, interesting, yeah.
For us, it's not. For us, it's just this kind of after-image garbage, right? Like,
yeah.
So I'm really not too worried about everything else.
Yeah.
But by using the fingers on the right hand, right, if I'm... And just damp by putting my other fingers down.
Okay.
Right?
Cool.
So I think that everything with what you just did there is going really, really well.
Okay.
Okay, especially now we've got this alternation really kind of cleared up.
Great.
Okay? So keeping that in mind, we don't need to go through every permutation now on all of these scales, because I've seen how well you're doing with them. So let's randomize it a little bit. Do A minor harmonic, but do it MI.
Okay. Could I also randomize sort of to do the tremolando pattern on that one?
Sure.
Okay, cool. So tremolando MI 56 quarter note is the 56 quarter note. I'm gonna turn off that eighth.
It's okay if you leave it on.
I'm gonna turn off. Sorry, A minor. Okay, let's keep it on. Why not? A minor. Did you say harmonic and rest stroke or free stroke?
I'll let you choose that.
Okay.
Because we'll do the opposite in just a second.
Okay, sure. A harmonic minor. Okay. There's a slight
Don't worry about it.
hesitation descending to this C. Yeah. But I think that's the only thing that I'd call a mistake. Like,
Yeah.
sound wise, everything else came
If you
through.
do it again, then it's not a mistake.
Okay.
You see, and
Yeah.
I want to clear, for me, I have to clearly define oops. Then I'll work towards getting rid of oopses. But if I do it again, it's an issue. I don't want to call it a problem.
Okay.
And for me, issues, problems.
Right.
Some people, it's like, oh, I got a problem. No, I've got an issue. It's like, it just depends on how you define it. For me, I've got an issue.
Like
I've got a concern.
Yeah. Like,
I'm not like, oh God, it's not in problem territory. But that's where we can take care of it. Now, I keep the 8th note click on, and then I'll turn it off.
Yeah.
You know, but it just helps at slow speeds for more accurate precision of rhythm. That's all.
Yeah.
Shows me where I could be a little bit off. That's really it. Now, do free stroke MA.
Okay, free stroke MA, E, or A harmonic minor, melodic minor. Okay.
Yeah, same scale.
Okay. You said MA, not AM,
Yep.
right? MA, okay. Let me get that.
Seen a lot more independence in your alternation of M and A. That seems like that's going real well. So when you start your day off, just take 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Going through, keeping those fingers planted and enjoying that swing space. Of the finger.
Okay.
Right.
Cool.
And again, do it light.
Do it light and slow so you can really be aware of when you're pushing other fingers and when those other fingers are starting to react. Right? Great way to get things started. That went really, really well. The role of the thumb, and here's where I believe that we should be able to play with our thumb resting on a string and off the string.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I prefer starting scales with the thumb on the string. And the reason for that is it helps deal with minor adjustments that we may be doing unaware to our hand as we're going. It also serves as a dampening agent.
Yeah.
So when we've got this and we have, like I'm starting with my thumb right on that 6th string.
Okay. I've tried to keep it off and always keeping the thumb in the 2-string distance, but okay.
I follow that rule except for 5 and 6.
Yeah, okay. Okay,
right?
So you do. Yeah, I've wondered about it. Yeah. Okay.
That's all. And the primary reason is it will deal with these slight adjustments we may make with the hand unknowingly.
Yeah.
The second reason and a byproduct is there may be plenty of times where you're going having to pluck a bass note.
Sure.
And so by having it down, it doesn't feel so foreign. You know?
Okay.
So this way,
yeah,
as you're going through, you'll be able to feel that thumb. Now I start to make the move, right? And there's only one move in this. Then there it is back, right?
Okay.
One thing that I would add to your approach with this, and you do not have to do it it would double your time in terms of the amount of scale work you're doing. You do not have to do every for every, but once in a while, practice them absolutely legato.
Yeah. Okay.
So don't okay, now I've got to do C major, IM, MI, MA, AM, rest stroke and free stroke, long and short. Dude, you're going to be here.
Yeah.
You'll be my age before you're done. So the idea is, well, I'll do the next one and I'll focus more on the legato aspect of it.
Yeah.
Because if we're not flexing that, we're building in a default that we may
like
not be
always.
aware of. And I don't even want to call it staccato. Broken.
Yeah, or prepared, maybe? Like always preparing the
Everything
finger?
we're doing is
Like,
prepared. Like
even legato.
all the time.
Okay.
How much preparation are we using is the variable.
Okay. Okay.
Right? So if I'm doing, oh gosh, sorry. It's really humid down here. That's still prepared.
Yeah.
It's just not as prepared as, right?
Okay.
So if I'm doing that as a really great example, legato, still preparing. I'm preparing at the very last second. So I can still feel that finger making contact with that string in that spot.
But at like the very end. Yeah.
But I'm just
like
trying
minimal.
not to get,
Okay.
right? So this
Right.
doesn't really sound staccato. This, that's staccato.
Yeah.
This is detached. They're broken.
Yeah. Right.
If I'm doing that, now I'm in control of the articulation. So
Yeah.
the same thing as I'm doing a scale, if I were going to do A minor again, like just working on a more legato,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
And then the next one, go back to doing it with more preparation,
Yeah.
right? That way you're getting both.
Yeah. Sounds
That
good.
way you're getting both.
I'm gonna add it in. I don't know if I've said it explicitly. I think it's obvious, but I've increased from 1 hour a day target to like 2 to 3. So yeah, just FYI, guitars.
Let me know how you did that.
Yeah, yeah. It's I don't know.
It's tough. It's like it's getting to a degree where it's almost like you have to have an Army or Marine kind of schedule. It's like, okay, 5 a.m. you wake up and you start doing whatever it is that you got to do and get your exercises, and it's a very disciplined way of life. I just that works completely inverse to me. You know, and I've tried it, and for a while I was able to maintain it, but going to sleep at 2 and waking up at 7 is very different than going to bed at 12 and waking up at 5.
Yeah.
That my rhythms internally don't function well that way.
Right.
So it's harder to add more time.
Well,
so
do you want to
really
go the
good.
extra 15 minutes to do a full hour and a
Yeah,
half?
well, we
or
spent a
how
lot of
are-
time talking ped in the beginning, so we just keep going. That's
Okay.
fine.
Yeah, but we could call it an hour and a half lesson for sure.
No, just an hour. We spent a good deal of time talking in the beginning and to set things up, so don't sweat it. So let's look now at, let's do E melodic minor.
Okay.
And let's do the tremolando with staccato notes or prepared notes with AM.
Okay. AM staccato notes or okay. E melodic minor free stroke. Okay.
Bit behind, and I think the only reason is you didn't count before you started.
That's my tendency. Is behind.
It's all right. It's a lot of people's tendency, man.
Yeah, halfway through, I realized, I think I'm doing what you called detached, or like in the middle, and then I realized, I think you said staccato, so I should do it as quickly as possible. Or are you?
I wouldn't worry about it. Let's think legato or detached staccato.
Got it. Okay.
The reason why I split hairs between staccato and detached is I want to differentiate the mechanic of preparing my finger on the string.
Yeah, just
versus a musical articulation.
Okay.
Of choosing length.
Okay.
Right? So we've got detaché, staccato, staccatissimo. We got all these different ways to describe a not long note.
Okay, so then I should be thinking equal parts, like
just think
prepared halfway.
Yeah.
Not
more prepared or less prepared, and just kind of keep it in those two boxes.
Okay.
Right? So I'm using a lot of preparation, or I'm using very little to no preparation, right?
Okay.
And I say very little to no, it's going to sound and feel like you're not preparing. Yeah. But if you have a uniform attack and you can still feel that sensation on the tip of your finger, you are.
Okay. That makes
Good.
sense.
So when you start the next one, let's do G major, and let's do it with rest stroke MA.
Okay.
This one, give yourself a good, you don't have to count out loud, but give yourself a good count and don't start till you're ready.
Yeah.
Great, sounds good. Minor little, like you got hung up on one note, those kind of things. I'll do it again and try to get rid of any little bits of gunk like that, but only if everything else is working well, like it is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's like kind of a catch on the ring nail in rest stroke, but not in free stroke. So doing all these combinations is helping me try to keep these in maintenance better. But
when you use the paper on the strings, I'm like attacking that fingernail from every possible angle, from here, here, rest stroke, free stroke, everything. And that's where you'll see some of those things that you can't get with a file. And just getting that suckered so that it really just moves right through. Right. I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage because I took the acrylics off these two. I was doing great on my instrument, but I recorded at Aaron's a couple of days ago, and the acrylics on this Hernandez just sounded awful. I could not get a good tone. So at the end of the session, it's like, okay, I'm going to re-record on that, and I just ripped them off and let them grow, and I'll deal. You know, I was very excited about the acrylics giving me this much
simplified,
simpler way of dealing with things, and I hadn't used them in years, so I was like, okay. So that, to me, what you're doing, I think, is right on. Okay. Now, with these, you can start to employ more of the right hand dampening or left hand dampening, should you choose to, because you're playing these all at the appropriate tempos. Okay. So I would certainly give yourself a check. You know, I know I didn't go through like the some of the others, but based on what I'm hearing, you're really consistent across the board, and the tremolando, with very few exceptions, is right spot on. You'll know it's like, oh, I'm a little behind the beat. Okay. That's why we're leaving that eighth note value on, just so you have that guide.
It was off on this one, but
just a little bit, just a tiny little bit, but it wasn't it wasn't your rhythm that was necessarily off. Like your eighth notes were still even. You were just a little behind the metronome.
It's a tendency.
To me, that's more of an attention thing than execution. You were saying a lot of people what?
It's a common random troll, like first message from random people in the chat is like, play with the metronome. It's like, I'm playing with the right metronome duration. I'm just a little behind the beat, but yes, thank you. I'm gonna try to line up with the issue.
Think about it like latency, just like this. You know, like you know, what is it, like a half second delay?
Pretty quick
or something. When you're, you know, when things are good, there's this slight latency, and when you notice that, the question is, okay, I was aware of that. That doesn't help, right? How do I fix that? The solution is a certain amount of compensation. right? So if you hear flat, like some people naturally hear flat or sharp,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, okay, let's tune by ear. Great. All right, you think you're in, but you're like 5 to 10 cent flat, but consistently. Okay, you happen to hear flat. So that means the next time you think you're in, go the tiniest bit sharp on everything. Yeah. And the chances are you'll land right in the center or a hair on the sharp side. And then you learn to overcompensate. The same thing when it comes to timing.
Yeah.
Not rhythm. Rhythm is our subdivision and the choice of the length and value of notes.
Okay.
Having a good pulse, a steady pulse, and this is why maybe I'm just splitting hairs. To me, when a student has good rhythm, that means that they can subdivide that time and accurately portray the rhythmic divisions that are on the page.
Yeah. Okay.
Having a good sense of time is then they can keep a steady pulse. I have to separate those two things because it's like, hey man, my rhythm was good, but when I was a kid, I couldn't stay in tempo. Those are two different problems. It's easy to view it as, well, your rhythm sucks. Okay, great. But did it really? No, man, my subdivisions were all like appropriate, the lengths of the notes, but my ability to play those in a steady pulse and time. Okay, now that I know that, great. How do I fix it? I aim early.
Yeah.
Right? So I'll try to overcompensate a little bit the next time I go through. Say, okay, I'm going to go a little faster than what I did before.
Yeah.
And really try to land the beat. So that may mean I have to stop being aware of my hands for a minute.
And that's the challenge because I'm like so zoned in, focusing on like the wrist or like a specific technical thing, and then my attention is moving away from just like being exactly.
And to me, that's all that is.
Yeah.
If your eighth note subdivision was all over the map, that's a rhythm issue. But when you're thinking about literally all of these responsibilities, and I'm getting them all really well, but I'm slightly behind the beat, but I'm consistently behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just backside of the beat. I want to be able to land that sucker right in the center, or maybe I want to be on the front side of the beat sometimes.
Yeah.
That's a much more nuanced use of playing in time.
Yeah.
Much more nuanced.
Cool.
Good. Okay. So arpeggios, we really haven't hit these. We've been focusing a lot on the scales.
Yeah.
So show me, let's pick PAI number 3, and I want to check in and see where that is. In your next lesson, we can take these suckers down.
Okay. But
and then get
let's
into the
do
chromatic
the one.
scales.
Just
pick one,
today.
number 3.
Okay. Cool.
Now, is that at, and again, these are 56 for all of these? Oh, no, it's 69, sorry.
69, yeah.
Cool. One more time. The second measure, you were locked in. First measure was a little unsteady. So subdivide those triplets.
Feel it before playing. It's a bad habit.
I know when I count to you, this is not going to be with your click, but I'm thinking one and two and 3 and 4. Now, there's something very specific I'm doing with my voice here.
The articulation of the one and
2 and I'm stopping the air. 1 and 2 and 1 and 1 and 2 and it. You can hear how the downbeat blurs.
One.
So there's a certain
2 and
I can feel the pump, like my lungs pump a little. 1 and 2, like they pump. They just go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, so that I know that that's exactly where I want it. Right. If I count it and it's 1 and 2 and there's no
so squished.
Right. It's what a conductor calls an ictus, when that baton goes right at the bottom. That hit. I want to know exactly where that is. So when I count 1 E and 2 E and That's what I'm doing. So I'm going 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, when I want it to be really precise. When I want it to be more lyrical or musical, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and I'm trying to really get that 1 and a 2 and a 3.
Yeah.
Versus 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4, where there can be a little bit more looseness to the articulation. But the articulation is what helps define the subdivision.
Yeah.
Right? So try that. Just count. You don't have to do it out loud, but in your mind, 1, 2, 3,
Okay.
really feel that triplet before you start.
Okay. 1 and 2 and 3 and the first one was fast, and then I
first one sounded
myself.
pretty good. Do it again.
It was a little, okay. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Or
that was good. Do it again.
2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and
good. Now don't make it so deliberate now as you do it.
Okay.
Okay, you got the feel. Just trust. 1 and 2 and
1 and 2 and
there you go.
3. Okay. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2.
Nailed it, dude.
2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
Yeah, man, that's like rock solid.
Right.
And so the question then for me becomes, when we see that, is it really our rhythm? Is it really our time? Or is it how we're counting? That's got it. These are doing the same things they were doing before, but now you've given a whole new layer of information.
Yeah.
To your fingers in terms of when you want them to react. And the thing about this that you want to keep in mind is for instance, other cultures, the non-English speaking cultures that are going to subdivide, they may not say 1 e enda, 2 e enda. Right. There was a student we had from Puerto Rico who said paquetito. So they're just using mnemonics, right? So for 16ths, paquetito, 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 paquetito. It was awesome, and it worked great. But I noticed with this student that I didn't know that they were doing that. So I heard their scales, dee dee da da dee dee da da dee dee da was the articulation. So it's like kind of long, short. And I'm like, well, that's really cool. I wonder why they're doing that. And so I was like, so why are you doing that? And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm playing 16ths. I'm like, yeah, you are, and they're dead on. But it's like dee dee da da dee dee da da dee dee da da instead of da 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 or dee 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 dee.
Yeah.
It's like, how are you counting that? And then as soon as they did it, they went paquetito, paquetito. I was like, oh man, that's so cool. I never knew that. And then when I thought of the paquetito, long, short. So they were doing exactly what they counted.
Yeah.
And in that case too, you just did exactly what you counted. So now part of me wonders if some of it might have been how you were counting it physically.
Yeah, I haven't thought of physically how do I count it, like in terms of the bursts of air,
right?
Or how
well, now you don't have to have so much like in each one. Now you can just kind of let it go 1 e, and it's like a sharp 1 e end instead of 1 2. Right. But you have to kind of do that at first to feel it.
Right.
Now you can start to choose. Do I want long triplets, 1 and 2 and 3 and or 1 and 2 and 3 and where you're more stopping the air, just not a lot. 1 and 1 and because immediately you had this huge difference in your overall rhythmic precision.
Yeah.
And again, does that mean that you don't have good rhythm? No, it means, wow, we just found something that's really nuanced and specific, and guess what? Everyone kind of has this particular variable in the way that they count. And I'm going to credit middle school band for that. I would love to tell you I learned that from guitar. I did not. I learned that from I'm not even going to say what instrument I used to play, but because in this general approach, when you're teaching a lot of young kids, it really is far more about the vocalization and sensation to then match that sound. And as guitarists, not having that, at least in our country, in most cases, not having that exposure to that kind of methodology at that age on our instrument.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you could say that to a flute player and they go, well, yeah, well, duh.
It's just part of the pedagogy.
It's just part of their thing. They're also using air to make their
Yeah.
notes. We're not.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind as you're going through, that maybe you just want to get in the groove of counting it
Yeah.
with that kind of precision that you want.
Yeah.
Because that way you went immediately to where the issue lied.
Yeah.
Rather than think, how long would we, and I say we, dude, because I may not do this now, but I did this like gangbusters in the 1980s, man.
Mm-hmm.
How long would I have sat there and hammered that thing out until I got it exactly the way I just got it by paying attention to how I count it?
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's those kinds of things that we're always thinking about this.
Yeah.
90% this, but we got to give our 10% this. And then once these are in shape, guess what? This is 50%, and then this is 50%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that we got real equal partners in terms of our music and our musicianship.
Mm-hmm.
And just, we've trained these to now do what we want. Great. Trust them. Trust but verify, but trust them.
Yeah.
You know? Because like you're seeing, man, hey, if I'm paying attention, I'm doing great over here, but what's the sacrifice?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now you got it, so now let's focus on the other side of it. Cool? So at your next lesson, let's go through all of the arpeggio patterns, because I certainly would give you a check for the diatonic scales for the preparatory level based on what I heard today. We'll go through the arpeggio patterns, and then just finish those up, and then let's hit the chromatic scales, page 8.
Sure. Okay.
Awesome. And then we'll deal with the 2-octave variants.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and there's a lot more of them. And then we also see an increase in the tremolando.
Yeah.
Now, this is where I want you to tread carefully. Okay? And what I mean by that is this. Maybe 88's not a fast speed to do eighth notes. Okay? But let's say at 76, you start noticing some artifacts or some funk in your hands. And not the kind of funk that we want, right? Maybe all of a sudden we start sensing some tightness. Maybe we sense a lack of control or coordination. Maybe we start noticing unintentional ancillary motions. Yeah. Okay. Make note of it. Say, at this speed, I noticed this, and move on. Okay. Right? Go on to the next scale. That way, now, for your week, you've got your marching orders to say, at 76, I noticed this in this scale. In 82, I noticed this in this scale. Okay. Yeah. Because as we add octaves, so now we're adding content or mileage. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Okay. We're also increasing speed. So those are two factors. That can now start exercising on us things where at the faster speed, when you wonder why at 16th notes at 100 you do whatever. Here's where we find, like, oh shit. Okay, now I'm starting to put it together. Now I start seeing where those things are cropping up. Just make note of them. Yeah. And then those are the things that you start to hammer out. Okay. So maybe D, I'm just making this up. Maybe D minor harmonic, dude, you got that rock solid. Great. Go through that twice a week, move on to the next. Right. So you're never not doing the stuff you're good at. You do the stuff you're good at, you just do it less than the stuff that you're not. Okay. You could think of a 1-to-3 or 2-to-3 ratio. So if I do D minor harmonic, really great, I'll go at one time for every 3 times I do melodic. Right. Or whatever the thing that needs to work. So we're never ignoring or making assumptions that I got that in a bag. We're always coming back to check in on it. Yeah. Just like my kids, man. Yeah. Like, wow, they're really behaved kids and it's real quiet. Okay. It's been quiet too long. My daughter's been on the internet too long. Gotta shut that thing down. Or my son is not doing his homework, he's playing a game. Stop that. Whatever. Yeah. Right? Trust but verify. Okay? Okay.
Sounds awesome. Thank you.
All right.
So much.
My schedule here will shape up a little bit in the next day or so we'll be able to plan your next stream while I'm down here so that you can advertise it. Okay.
Okay. That sounds awesome.
I appreciate your flexibility, man.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Chris. And yeah, like everybody absolutely loves these lessons.
Good.
So
Good. I'm glad that they're digging it, man.
Cool, man.
Well, tell everybody I said hi. I'm not seeing the chat window, but
sure. Yeah, I will.
Hi, everybody. I hope you all have a great weekend.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody in the chat. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much.
See you, man.
Yeah. See you. See you later.
Bye.
I guess I'm just gonna hang out and keep practicing. So, okay.
That sounds great.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
All right. See ya. Bye.